Hi, it's Matt with Trout Soup. Good morning, friends, and welcome to the third installment, Volume 3 of Where the Cutthroats Are. If you recall from Volume 1, we went around the Bear Lake trailhead system, fished 3 different lakes, the Loch, Lake Hayaha, and Dream Lake, made a loop 9.5 miles, and caught all 3 cutthroat species in Rocky Mountain National Park. In Volume 2, we went approximately 10 miles southeast of the Wild Basin entrance and up the Ouzel Lake drainage system in search of greenback cutthroats, our Colorado state fish. We instead found brook trout in Ouzel Lake, but there was hopeful signs that greenback cutthroat were in the creek below. Now, on my way up the trail to Ouzel Lake, a little birdie told me about a new lake, Loomis Lake. This will be our destination for today's adventure. Loomis Lake can be accessed on the Fern Lake trailhead system. And rather than going to the parking lot south into the Bear Lake area, rather we'll head straight west to the Fern Lake trailhead here, hike up approximately 5.25 miles past Fern Lake, past Spruce Lake, up this ditch into a tarn, and at the base of this mountain lies Loomis Lake. This entire drainage system running up here from the pool upstream past Fern Falls. Above here is a greenback cutthroat restoration area, much like the Ouzel Lake trail system. I'm hopeful that we're going to find greenback cutthroat trout in these 3 lakes. I'm going to go ahead and pass on Fern Lake, probably fairly heavily pressured, and continue past and fish Spruce Lake, the creek below it, the creek just above it. There's supposedly a glacial tarn in here, and then hit Loomis Lake. Now, I spoke with the ranger, and he said that it would take about 6 hours to get to Loomis Lake. We're going to see if we can do this in one day. Let's go. Morning, friends. Started our journey actually 15 minutes ahead of schedule at 6 a.m. Fern Lake trailhead parking lot. That first about half mile of the hike was like hiking through a lush tropical rainforest, except up here in the mountains. Crisp, fresh, beautiful air. You should get out of bed, come fishing. Speaking of fishing, in a lot of my videos you're going to see the journey, the whole journey that surrounds the fly fishing experience. If we were all about just the fish, well, we go out there with electroshocking sticks, shock the fish to the surface, and then look at them, and then let them swim away. But that's not what it's about. Nature, being out here. And today, this is also a native greenback cutthroat trout restoration area. We're going to see if we can find them. Stay tuned. Pretty excited to fish this lake today. We've stopped for just a couple minute break, shed some layers, look at the canyon. Big Thompson is running right below me here, which is pretty cool. And Fern Creek splits off and it's right on the other side, so you're kind of surrounded by both creeks. We'll start making our way back up the trail. We've got a few more miles to go to Loomis Lake. So my wife Jessica is at home, still nursing a broken leg. That's why you guys haven't seen her in some of the latest videos that I've posted. And it doesn't seem quite fair that she's working. I've been out of work now for 2 months and getting paid to be fly fishing these high lakes. It just doesn't seem fair. If the government could somehow figure out a way to pay us all, especially us fly fishermen, to come do these lakes, maybe just for like 10, 15 years, I'd take that job.
The ground to be spent, the sky is awning. Neon, 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 blue neon lamp in a midnight country.
Close. She was right on the trail. She's probably standing 20 feet from me.
So you lean on, so much has become holders.
Alright, I promised myself that I would not stop and fish any of the streams or outlets until I got to Loomis Lake, and then I could fish on the way back. This little creek feeds Spruce Creek, and right down in this little pocket here, there's a large Greenback Cutthroat. I saw another one before I crossed this footbridge here in this upper pool. So I think I might have to string up the fly rod. Are they being picky? Orange stimulator I thought would work. Okay, we see 5 cutthroats here, all greenbacks. 1, 2, 3, one in front of me, another one upstream. These 3 in here I've seen rising. Those 2 look like they're laying on a red, so we're gonna leave them alone. Wind is kicked up. A couple more of them that are rising. So difficult getting in there. Might have to tie on a nymph. If you watch closely, you'll see the cutthroat come from the far bank and gulp my fly. There we go. Came after the dry. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them in here. They're all feeding on top. Greenback Cutthroat Trout. Oh, yeah. Beautiful example of Greenback Cutthroat. This one will lift out of the water just briefly. Get a good look at them. See all the red on them? The spots are more concentrated toward the bottom. Wind's picked up. This is the creek going right over here to Spruce Lake. We're gonna go around it and up another 0.6 miles to Loomis Lake. This creek is absolutely filled with greenbacks, and I can see them coming up to the surface and feeding. Okay, we're rolling past Spruce Lake, and there's greenbacks cruising and rising everywhere. There's one right in front of me. Where did he go? There he is. I scared him. Okay, let's try that again. That was stupid. I knew that cast was gonna be too long. Alright, we're down here at Spruce Lake. They're rising everywhere. Just got one to the net. But again, I don't have my GoPro battery working, so we'll see what we can do. Okay, we got one on the line here. Got one on the line. We're bringing him into the net. Spruce Lake greenback. And he wants to take my net with him. Okay, we've got like 5 of these cutthroats of Spruce Lake. But this is a nicer one, bigger one. You get them to the net. Beautiful 14-inch greenback cutthroat. Got another one on here. Beautiful. Spruce Lake Greenback Cutthroat. Okay, we're trying to make our way up to Loomis Lake. This is the creek between Loomis and Spruce. Spotted a cutthroat. Okay, we've tied on a nymph, pretty plump one, because this guy's in a really fast drift, so my dry just wouldn't stand in there. There we go. All right. Oh, son of a gun. Boy, that's tricky in these small creeks. We're making our way up here. It's extremely steep. That's why a lot of people don't hike back to this lake. Essentially going straight up. You should know that this last half mile is extremely rough going. I've lost the trail probably half a dozen times.
If you conceal yourself really well and don't make any noises, a lot of times you can dangle a dry fly, like I am here, right in the pool, and the cutthroat will just continually swipe at it.
Okay, this trail is for real. Wow. Straight uphill. We've made it to the tarn. These close quarters fishing is one of the main reasons why I love this little 7'6" cutthroat right in front of us. He's right here. See if we can get a good cast on him. Really close quarters. Wow. Okay, we took our nymph off because he chased it, but he didn't want it. So we put our dry on. See if he'll come over and get it. He's looking at it. Here he goes. Got him. Oh! Pulled it right out of his mouth.
This situation is often referred to as dabbing your fly. I call it dry fly dangling.
Want the dries.
This is very similar to what Euro nymphers do to stay in contact with their flies beneath the surface of the water.
Greenback cutthroat.
However, you should realize, and I should have realized in the first attempt at this fish, that with just the air and my fly on the water and no fly line on the surface of the water, I had no resistance against the fly, so that when I set the hook, it just popped right out of the fish's mouth. What I should have done in the first attempt at this fish is lay the rod tip gently toward the water surface, allowing for some fly line to float on top. This would have given me the proper tension that I needed to set the hook on the fish.
All right, so I've crossed the outlet stream of the tarn, and there is no trail.
Many of these high mountain lakes are between 4 and 6 feet deep at their deepest points, and yet they hold sustainable, reproducing populations of cutthroat trout, in part due to these underground springs. The tree growing out of the middle of this island at the tarn might be a couple hundred years old. It felt like a great place to show you a couple of basic overhead casts. Quote, "There should be a place where only the things you want to happen, happen." Unquote.
Finally.
Loomis Lake is that place.
All right, let's start exploring. Drainage system. It's just unbelievable. It's filled with the most beautiful greenback cutthroats anywhere on the planet. Spotted a big cutthroat.
Here's a sneak preview of my first cast at Loomis Lake.
There we go.